Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video. We're going to have a look at weather next week to 10 days. So today's first video is going to take us to around the 5th of November, actually getting very close to bonfire night with this update. And to just say that coming up this evening, we are actually going to have our second update for Halloween and the bonfire night. So if you want to know what the weather could be doing for Halloween and for bonfire night this year, then we'll have the second update this evening. But this video is going to be having a look at weather next week to 10 days. We'll also see what's going on with the Arctic, North Atlantic across Asia. We've got new developments in the tropical Atlantic, and at the end of the video be a little mention of Christmas, and I'll explain why that is at the end of the video. But as I say, starting us off will be a look at what's happening in the tropical Atlantic. So, for about a week or so, we've had generally quiet conditions in the tropical Atlantic in terms of storms and hurricanes. We've gone through a quieter interlude. But things are livening up again. So it's this orange X just here that we see in the middle of the tropical Atlantic. Let's see what the National Hurricane Center are saying about this one. It's Disturbance 1, and it's got a 60% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. So what they're saying is that showers and thunderstorms are gradually becoming better organised in association with a broad area of low pressure located over central tropical Atlantic around 950 miles east-northeast of the northern Leeward Islands. This low is expected to move northward over the next couple of days into an area where upper level winds are forecast to be conducive for further development, and a tropical or subtropical storm is likely to form on Friday or Saturday. After that time, the system is forecast to turn westward well to the north or northeast of the Lesser Antilles through early next week. It has a 60% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and an 80% chance, very high chance, of becoming a tropical storm or a subtropical storm in the next 5 days. This could well be our next named storm, and I've had a look to see what the next name is. It's Oscar, so we could well be hearing about tropical storm or possibly even Hurricane Oscar in the next few days. So watch your space and see what's going to happen there. I'll be keeping a close eye on it. Right, Arctic Oscillation observed and forecast chart next. So this chart is telling us where we've been and where the GFS ensembles are forecasting us to go with the Arctic Oscillation. It looks like we're into quite a long-term change now of the AO and indeed of the NAO too. So the black line here tells us where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. GFS ensembles indicated by the red lines at the end where the Arctic Oscillation is forecast to go. We see that we have been in quite a pronounced and prolonged period of positivity of the AO. Yes, we have had very brief interludes where we've gone slightly negative, back there at the end of June, for example, and again around the middle of August, a few days of slight negativity, and again through early September. But overall, the trend over the past several months, it goes all the way back to April really, the trend of the AO has very much been in positive territory. So I've had a long run of positivity of the AO. But you can see the GFS ensembles are forecasting the AO to go negative in the next few days. Going to get this northerly wind, of course, coming along. And then it tries to return the AO into positive territory there. But it doesn't last more than a few days. And then we go negative again, you'll notice, through the first week or so of November. So that does look like a relatively prolonged period of negativity of the AO that we're entering into now. Certainly a couple of weeks. And it could well be that a fundamental shift is taking place within the atmosphere here to be sending the AO into a generally quite extended period of negativity. Remember, this is just an index that's reflecting the state of the atmosphere over North Pole. It's not driving anything, it just tells you what the atmosphere has done and what the GFS ensembles are forecasting the atmosphere to do. When the AO is negative, such as GFS ensembles are forecasting it to be, then you're going to have high pressure over pole. You're going to have blocking highs, and that's the route getting cold air out of the pole and down into the mid-latitudes. At the same time, the NAO appears to be shifting as well. So again, the black line here tells us where we've been with the NAO. You can see we have been in a very, very prolonged positive period of NAO condition going all the way back to the start of the summer. We're going to go negative with the NAO in the next few days. So again, this is our cold snap, sending both the AO and the NAO negative. It tries to recover there later next week, but overall the GFS ensembles still seem to be on the negative side of average, of neutral, through the first week of September. Yes, there are one or two ensemble members that are going into more positive territory, but overall this looks like the AO and the NAO are shifting into a more negative phase. And if this was to continue into November, it is possible we might have our first colder than average month since March. Haven't had a colder than average month since March. It's possible November could do it if this is a long-term shift in the overall pattern, both the North Atlantic and the Arctic. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that. Right, these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top of the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Is on the bottom, 500 millibars, 8,000 feet, is an area in atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by the jet stream. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, yellow, orange and red extrapolates to high pressure. So the ECMWF has this large ridge of above average heights to the north and to the east of the country, a large ridge stretching from southeastern Europe up the eastern side of Europe, and eventually moving in towards the Arctic as well. And that does actually tie in with a ridge that's to the north of Greenland over there. It's a big area of high pressure to our east and north. Then we have this low pressure as a trough within the 500 millibar flow, centered almost over the top of the UK, with a ridge out in the Atlantic to our southwest and also stretching up towards Newfoundland. It's a very messy picture. Notice there's also a trough over Eastern America that will be bringing winter into central and eastern parts of the states. For us, it's a very messy picture, but overall it looks quite unsettled, and we're probably on the cool side of a jet stream as well, with a jet doing something a little bit like that. So I think we're sending the jet stream on a northwest-southeast trajectory, rather like that, and it's a little bit to our south as well, with this low pressure, with a trough within the 500 millibar flow, essentially centred over country. So the ECMWF is going for rather cool and unsettled conditions in the week to 10-day time frame. Now this is how the GFS is looking. It's rather different. It's further north with this area of low pressure. It's centred a little bit more to the north of the country. Still got this large area of above average heights, high pressure to the east, across much of the eastern and northeastern Europe. The ridge in the Atlantic is a little bit better defined as well, and so quite a strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic, indicated by the tight lines there. That is quite unsettled, but it's a little bit milder too, because the jet stream is that bit further north, so we're not on the cold side of the jet there, with the trough placed over the centre, over the top of the UK in the 500 millibar flow. It's a little bit more to our north, but they are both indicating quite unsettled conditions in the 7 to 10 day time frame. These are the GFS ensembles looking at London today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Starting off above average at the moment. It's downhill all the way. By tomorrow, much colder. And then these colder conditions extend into weekend and even to the start of next week. Through next week, only a very gradual recovery in the temperature. So it takes until the first days of November. This is 3rd of November just here. Takes until then to get back towards average. So pretty cool or even cold week coming up next week, to be honest. And then beyond that, through this the rest of the first week of November into the second week of November, looks rather unsettled. The ensembles are generally going a little bit above average, actually. And there's a lot of dry weather over the next 2 or 3 days. And then precipitation is very, very slowly increasing through to the start of November. So as we go through the first week of November, it does look as though we're entering into quite an unsettled phase. Temperature anomalies from the 25th of October through to the 2nd of November are coming out colder than average for the UK and for Ireland. In fact, most of Western Europe, Norway, France, Spain, Portugal, some parts of the Low Countries, coming out with colder than average temperature anomalies in the week ahead. The warmer than average temperature anomalies associated with that ridge across the east of Europe push down into the east and the southeast of Europe, so much more than average. Example in the Balkans and going over towards the Black Sea, those areas having a warmer than average week, but the north and the west turning rather colder than average. Now, despite that GFS ensemble chart that I just showed you for London looking rather unsettled, the precipitation anomaly is remaining rather significantly drier than average. So the GFS ensembles did look as though they're going unsettled, but not much sign of rain actually on the precipitation anomaly chart. So this again taking us from the 25th of October through to the 2nd of November, and it's much drier than average through most parts of the UK. Although, bear in mind, if we go back to the ensemble, so up to the 1st of November, which is just here, actually there's not really all that much rainfall. There is a bit just there around sort of the last day of the month. But overall, quite a lot of dry weather actually in the weekend, and it's really beyond that that GFS ensembles are turning more unsettled. So that possibly makes sense, and we may see this trending more unsettled, trending wetter, this chart over the next few days. So this is how the latest GFS run, 6 o'clock run, is looking for Sunday. We've got this ridge of high pressure out to the north and west, and we're bringing in these cold east to northeasterly winds. As we go through to Monday, we take this area of high pressure up to Scandinavia and start to drag in a proper easterly wind with low pressure out to the northwest. That's being blocked by this ridge up over Scandinavia. That's how we look on Tuesday. Now, if this was about a month on, maybe 6 weeks, this would be a very, very interesting chart to say the least, because you have high pressure dominating over Scandinavia. It's blocking the route of these low pressures into the UK, and so the flow and the jet is going down there. We were on the cold side of the jet, therefore, and if it was winter, as these areas of low pressure engage with the cold air coming in from the east, that would be classic sort of snowmaker conditions. Notice this area of low pressure over Germany, that could bring a lot of wet weather to central parts of Europe through the sort of early middle part of next week. There's the temperature, upper air temperature chart for Tuesday next week. It's quite interesting. You'll notice it's colder than average up over Scandinavia, so pretty cold there, but on the sort of eastern side of this area of low pressure, we're actually dragging up very warm air out of North Africa into eastern and some central parts of Europe. So we've got real warm air being pumped up out of North Africa into the eastern central part of Europe. On the eastern side of this area of low pressure just here, that's a low centred over Germany, but on the northern and western side of that low pressure, we're bringing down quite cold air from the north. So, I mean, it's not cold enough for anything particularly wintry for the UK and Ireland, because it's just a little bit too far south, but up over Scandinavia, it does look really quite cold, and that temperature contrast with that area of low pressure between the cold air to the north and the warm air that's being dragged up from North Africa, temperature contrast is probably going to fuel some very wet weather through central parts of Europe. And as I say, if this was a month or so further on, that would be really heavy snow across central parts of Europe. Now, that low pressure might just threaten the UK. It actually looks as though it's going to pass to our east, but if that low pressure was to back a bit further west, that could bring some really wet weather into the south and the east of the country through the early part of next week, so we do need to keep an eye on it. As it is, this GFS run takes that low pressure up to southern Norway, actually, up the North Sea, and up to southern Norway by the middle of next week, leaving us again on the cool side or the cold side of the jet stream with these flabby areas of low pressure meandering around our quadrant of the Atlantic Ocean. That takes us to the end of next week, so we're up to Friday, 2nd of November. By now, we're beginning to see high pressure trying to exert itself in from eastern parts of Europe. Upper air temperatures are lifting up, but it'll probably be quite dank, maybe foggy, there as we're going into the second half of next week, with this low pressure around Greenland, Iceland being held at bay. We get to day 10, that's how we look, so gradually the Atlantic's trying to break through. We saw that on the 500 millibar high anomaly flowchart from Penn State University. The Atlantic westerlies are trying to break through by day 10. That's just a little bit beyond day 10. It's bonfire night. And, well, that looks very unsettled, actually. That brings some wet weather in for bonfire night. As I say, we'll have a look at that in today's second video coming up this evening. In the extended range with the GFS, well, that spell of more westerly conditions actually doesn't last all that long, and the low pressure begins to slide away to our south as high pressure again begins to take over as quite a large blocking feature up to the north. So we're back into those easterly winds quite quickly, actually, by the time we get through to the end of the GFS run, which today is Saturday the 10th of November. Let's see what the ECM is showing. So again, we've got those east-northeasterly winds coming up on Sunday. Going to be a cold weekend, and the high pressure has a go at taking over across Scandinavia on Monday and Tuesday. Actually does take over, really, because these areas of low pressure in the Atlantic are definitely being held at bay out to the west of the south as the jet streams push down there. There's those easterly winds coming in for Tuesday, which would be very, very cold easterlies if this was winter. That's the area of low pressure just there across sort of southern Germany on Tuesday. Now, the ECM gets that closer to us. By the time we get through to Wednesday, look, this area of low pressure is just off the east coast. If that's right, it threatens some very wet weather down the eastern side of the country. So we've got to watch where that low is going through the middle part of next week. I think it's going to pass to our east because it's quite unusual to bring low pressure into the UK from the east. I think it will probably go something like that, running up the North Sea, into Scandinavia. But the ECM does get that onto the east coast of the Britain through the middle part of next week, which would be a real rainmaker if it came off. In the extended range, we start to bring in these westerlies, but they're pretty cool westerlies, really. This example is Saturday the 3rd of November, when we've got, again, quite a deep area of low pressure in the North Sea. And we're putting down quite chilly air from the northwest as well. So that's gale force winds running down the east coast. Maybe risking a little bit of coastal flooding with that, actually. Quite a bit of wet weather and pretty chilly northwesterly winds as well. That's how we finish up at day 10 with the ECM WF between areas of low pressure. We've got one over southern Norway, one in the middle of the Atlantic. We are building up this slight ridge just here, but I don't think that would last too long. This next area of low pressure would be on its way in if we could go a little bit beyond day 10. It does look more unsettled, I have to say. These charts do look more unsettled through the early part of November, but still quite cool overall. The GEM looking like that. So again, we've got those east-northeasterly winds as we go through the early part of next week. The wind turns proper sort of easterly. There's that low pressure coming out of Germany into the North Sea. So that just misses us. Comes out of Germany, heads up towards southern parts of Norway. Probably doesn't bring too much wet weather into the east. But we still have these areas of low pressure, these flabby lows sort of meandering around our quadrant of the Atlantic until the end of next week, when things start to get a bit of a kick from the Atlantic with this low pressure bringing more sort of westerly winds in. Milder, but also quite unsettled. We get to day 10, that's how we look. It's Sunday, 4th of November, quite unsettled. And it appears that, at least for a while anyway, weather's beginning to move in from off the Atlantic. Now, of course, we've got this cold snap coming up over the weekend. I've had a few people asking me about snow watch. I don't think there's going to be enough snow with this to warrant snow watch. So I know a lot of you want to see the first snow watch of the season, but there's no point doing snow watch if there's not going to be a huge amount of snow around. Let's have a look at the precipitation type forecast from this latest run of the GFS from the weatheroutlook.com. We're starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We've got wet weather on the cold front. The cold front is up here, of course. We've got wet weather on the cold front moving into Scotland. So this rain pushes southwards, becomes increasingly light and patchy as it does so overnight tonight. Here it comes moving down across England and Wales. Much of this is light and patchy stuff, but it is altering the air mass because behind this cold front we're really turning wind into the north. You notice snow appearing across central and northern parts of Scotland. That's mainly the mountainous areas through the course of the later part of the night and tomorrow morning. And then into tomorrow, well, this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so these are mainly rain showers. There might be a little bit of sleetiness mixed in, particularly for central northern parts of Scotland, but really this is mostly rain showers following the cold front. That's how things look at 9 o'clock tomorrow when the showers are dying back towards the coast. Still snow showers, you'll notice, across northern and eastern parts of Scotland. And then the air gets colder as we go through into Saturday. This is 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Snow showers for northern eastern parts of Scotland. Some snow showers for Northern Ireland being forecast there. Wintry showers are running down the eastern coast, mainly rain for East Anglia and South East England, but parts of the Lincolnshire, Yorkshire coast could have wintry showers, and rain showers coming down the west of Wales into southwestern parts of England. Through the course of Saturday, this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, again snow showers for eastern Scotland, wintry showers down the east coast, possibly some sort of snow, sleet or snow area coming out of the Irish Sea into Wales during the course of Saturday afternoon, and then wintry showers running down into southwestern England. Still those wintry showers, it's showing it mainly as rain, but they could be wintry showers coming down the east coast. Many inland areas and southern areas looking mostly dry. And then into Sunday, so the wind tilts more from the north to the northeast. That changes the distribution of the showers. We've got a bit of a streamer setting up there in the southeast, but I think it's mostly rain rather than snow down in the southeast. There might be sleetiness mixed in, but I think that's mostly a rain streamer that's setting up in the southeast, and more rain showers around those eastern coasts as well. So you see very little snow being forecast for this weekend, which is the reason I'm hesitant to do snow watch. But of course, this is the low resolution model. This is the GFS. It's got still to wait a little bit longer for this to come into the time frame of the high resolution models. So if there is going to be snow watch, it'll be tomorrow. But I think it's quite unlikely that we're going to have snow watch over the next few days, because I don't think there's just not enough snow to warrant doing it. This is the 5-day accumulated precipitation forecast from the Weather Outlook based on this latest GFS, or based on midnight GFS, I should say. So the next 5 days, you'll notice lots of dry weather being forecast there. Very little rain for most inland parts of the country. Most of the rain is in the north. Precipitation, I should say, is in the north and around these coastal areas. The 10-day precipitation total is creeping up, but it still looks quite dry, really, particularly for England and Wales. We're talking about 10-day accumulated precipitation of around sort of 5 to 10 millimetres, which isn't much at all for this time of the year. It does look wetter for southwestern parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. These eastern and southeastern coast areas a little bit wetter there. But to be honest, given that the charts we've just been looking at do look quite unsettled through the early part of November, that is surprisingly dry, I have to say. So it does appear that we are still struggling to get much in the way of precipitation. And then finally, I did say that I'm going to talk about Christmas, because in 1 week's time, it's only a week away now, Saturday, it'll be, the 1st of November, which will be Thursday, the 1st of November, will be the day of the first video update for Christmas. We always begin the Christmas updates on the 1st of November, and then run them through to Christmas. We have been doing a couple of written updates for Christmas during this October, but the ones that you're waiting for, the video updates, the Christmas countdown, begins in 1 week's time. I thought I'd just throw this in. It's one of the CFS runs that have been released today at metrozeal.fr. We're starting on the 23rd of December, looking quite chilly, quite cold. As we get towards Christmas, that's how we look for Christmas Day with this CFS run. Low pressures out to the west, high pressures building over Scandinavia. Quite a chilly, even quite a cold southerly to southeasterly wind being brought in there. And then after Christmas, it gets very interesting as this area of high pressure builds towards Greenland and Iceland. So as we head up towards the new year, it turns bitterly cold. We bring in these east or northeasterly winds, and we will start to drag in snow from the east and the northeast as well. That's how we look on the 30th of December. Really cold actually as we head up towards the end of the year, with easterly winds, snow showers coming in from the east as well, and that looks quite interesting, I have to say, as we're heading up towards the new year. If we go just a little bit beyond that into the start of 2019, that's how we look. Very cold, and low pressure begins to develop around the country. So within this cold air, that will be generating a lot of snow as we get through to the start of 2019. Before, during the opening week of 2019, we start to drag in milder air from the southwest. So it does begin to turn milder then as we get through towards 12th night, around the 6th of January. But before that, have a very cold and snowy interlude around the new year, with this low pressure developing over the country from the Norwegian Sea. That would be a real snowmaker. And Christmas updates will begin in a week's time. Got one more written update to do for Christmas on Sunday. And then a week today, the Christmas countdown begins again for another year. So I know a lot of you have been waiting for the Christmas video updates to begin. Only 1 week to go. Coming back to the more reasonable time frame, which of course is next week to 10 days. So we're going to get this cold northerly shot over the weekend. Whilst there's not going to be huge amounts of snow around with it, it certainly is going to feel very cold, very wintry over the weekend. And then early next week, where we get the easterly winds coming in through Monday to Wednesday. So that will add an extra chill to the atmosphere. And then maybe some wet weather associated with that as well. Through the second half of next week, probably seeing the Atlantic slowly encroaching in, although it all looks rather flimsy, I have to say, with showers or longer spells of rain beginning to move in from off the Atlantic. Might take us into a milder interlude around day 10, but overall these charts are still looking pretty blocked, and I don't think it'll be too long before we get ourselves back towards high pressure and colder conditions again, probably through the second week of November. Right, come back this evening when we'll have the latest update for Bonfire Night and for Halloween as well. Been a very extended video, this one, 26 minutes, sorry about that. Hope you found it interesting and informative. Come back tonight for the second update for Halloween and Bonfire Night, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.